Often used when referring to a language or vernacular, the term patois has taken on a slightly different meaning when applied to the New Orleans International Human Rights Film Festival. Patois is referred to as the language used at the intersection of art and social justice in New Orleans. And those are the themes actually, that you can expect to see in some of the films featured at this year's 7th annual fest. Joining us now with more on the festival, the co-director Emily Ratner, along with Wendy Oneil, moderator of one of the featured films, Freedom Riders. And first of all, let's talk about this whole film festival. This is probably one of the, and I'm saying for a lot of people, an unknown film festival. We've heard of a lot of film festivals, but this Human Rights Film Festival is something different. And are other cities doing this?
I think that there are a variety of community projects that we can look at in other cities that are something like Patois. But I think Patois is really special in that we bring together phenomenal award-winning films as well as exciting activists and organizers from New Orleans and communities across the country and around the world to come together to think about human rights issues and themes that run throughout our communities and bring us together. And
this film you're featuring, Freedom Riders, tell us a bit about that.
It's a film that's done very well with festivals at Sundance. And it's about the people who help to desegregate the public transportation system in this country. Many people in the core office that was based here in New Orleans, like Aretha Castle-Haley, Dodie Simmons, Matt Suarez, Jerome Smith, helped to train people who in nonviolence to be able to do the freedom rides.
Because a lot of the younger generation has never experienced what happened in the 50s and 60s and things like that when all this was blowing up in America. And does this film point that out?
Emily,
is it more of a documentary or?
It is a documentary. It's a stunning and really powerful documentary. But I think what's most special about the event that we're having around the film, which is this Friday, 7 p.m. at Warren Easton, is that we'll be screening the film in conjunction with a panel of folks who are involved in the civil rights movement locally here. As Wendy was saying, folks who trained freedom riders and continue to do really important and powerful civil rights movement work in New Orleans and throughout the South.
Because there was the segregation in New Orleans, and it was horrible. It was not as bad as it was in many other places in the South, in many people's recollection, because it just seems like there wasn't the kind of things we saw in Birmingham and things like that. Although, you know, blacks couldn't eat at certain places, couldn't go to certain things, or still had to ride the back of the bus, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, there was kind of a difference, though.
I think this is a wonderful opportunity to talk a little bit about institutionalized racism.
Yes.
Wendy,
yes, that's simply not true. Segregation existed in New Orleans.
Oh, obviously.
And has had a devastating effect. And that's why this film is in the Human Rights Festival. And this is a great opportunity to celebrate our local heroes, people who were beaten for, like Dodie Simmons, Aretha Castle-Haley, Jerome Smith, people who have stood against racism here in New Orleans.
Avery Alexander, a lot of big names, but we didn't see the kind of riots and the hosing down of people we saw in say Birmingham or Montgomery or places like that.
Well, I think what makes this event really close to our hearts with Patois and hopefully close to the heart of the community is that we're presenting an opportunity to hear from elders who are involved not only in New Orleans but throughout the South. I think a lot of them, especially in Jackson, Mississippi, to hear from elders about how they dealt with institutionalized racism as it manifested at that time.
And speaking of racism, you know, this country has come a long way, but obviously racism still exists. Do you see hope in the future? I mean, we see in this past election blacks winning across the city with big white support, whites winning across the city with large black support.
There's always hope. Part of what I find hope in is hearing stories from Dodie about Alice, who was only 14 and would scrape together the 7 cents bus fare to be able to walk. To be able to go pick up protest signs, or hearing about Aretha Castle-Haley's grandmother deciding to file suit to challenge the injustice of white supremacy, to hear about Dodie Simmons, Jerome Smith continuing to work today. Matt Suarez, who started with the Congress of Racial Equality, has helped to educate hundreds of, if not thousands, of New Orleans children.
And quickly, do you think we'll see in our lifetimes that Dr. King's words come true, that we will judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin? And that goes for blacks, whites, everybody.
We do it today. We see people, you know, racism is not about not being nice or not being able to honor someone's character. It's really about institutional and systemic injustice.
And I think if I can just jump in really quickly, I mean, I was just noticing on y'all's program, you were running a ticker tape about the Danziger Bridge investigation. We also know that federal agents are currently investigating vigilante violence against black folks on the West Bank during the aftermath of Katrina.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff that is happening every single day in our community. We're feeling this. And while we're talking about a film that takes place in 1961, it is very relevant to a lot of the institutionalized racism that I think we're seeing today. And that's why we're so excited to hold up these elders and also members of the local organization Safe Streets, Strong Communities, who are really in the community doing this work, trying to build trust with
and by the way, compliments on pronouncing Aretha the correct way. Most people say Aretha. She was
my teacher.
And her name was Aretha Castle Haley.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, and Junebug Productions is co-sponsoring this, and they help to lift up the everyday stories of people who are maintaining hope.
All right. PATOIS, the 7th annual New Orleans International Human Rights Film Festival, kicks off this Friday and runs through the 21st of March at a number of locations around the city. If you'd like information about that, you can call the number on the screen, 352-1150, or go to their website, www.patoisfilmfest.org, and they'll be glad to help you out. The film Freedom Riders premieres at the Fest Friday night, which is opening at 7 p.m., and that'll be at Warren Easton Senior High School. All right, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
It was good to talk about this. When we come back, we'll get details on the St. Patrick's Day themed gala to benefit Raintree Children and Family Services. That's after this. And we have more on the agency's green, Paint the Town Green Gala coming up as well after the break. Stay right there.
Log on to WWLTV.com from your cell phone to visit Louisiana's #1 TV website. Stay